Presenting Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways.
CX-4 calling control tower. CX-4 calling control tower. Standing by.
Control tower, back to CX-4. Wind southeast, ceiling 1200. All clear.
Okay, this is Hop Harrigan. Coming in.
Yes, it's America's ace of the airways. Coming in for another transcribed episode in the adventures of Hop Harrigan. Today, gang, I'm going to talk about high flying. Really high flying. The kind of thing they call the upper strata. Those of us interested in aviation know that steadily planes have been going higher and higher, all the way upstairs. In a general way, we know that up high you can fly more safely, more comfortably, and more efficiently. All this, of course, with the right equipment. In the past 10 years, a great deal of progress has been made in developing that equipment for the flying industry. Planes now travel comfortably at altitudes the old-timers never dreamed of. Just recently, leaders in aviation held a high-altitude conference. Top scientists, executives, and pilots all attended. The aim of the conference was to examine every problem of high-altitude flight, every advantage, every limitation, and to get together and examine all information available. The entire industry, military and commercial, is deeply interested in flying at high altitudes, and this meeting was to get the entire industry cooperating, just as they had done on other problems during the war. The chief engineer of Boeing, Edward Wells, said, "It is important to our country that we accumulate accurate new knowledge concerning high-altitude flying so that every advantage may be realized. We would like to contribute what we have and want you to do the same so that industry, government, science, and the public may benefit by proven technical advances." Well, that's a pretty fine way for those in aviation to work together. Later, I'll tell you more about high flying, so don't forget to listen. And now to our story. Realizing that Dixie Davenport was playing right into Tex Regan's hands in her attempt to recover her horse, Sequoia, Hop and Tank tried to stop her from paying a $50,000 ransom, but were captured by Tex and his accomplice, Joe Bell. Finally, they managed to escape and returned to Barstow to pick up the search for Dixie when they met Ivan Ivanov. Now, as we join Hop and Tank, they're in the director's limousine heading for the Barstow airfield.
Mr. Ivanov, tell me, did you see the plane from which the note was dropped?
No, I see nothing. I concentrate on the picture.
Well, you heard it, didn't you?
Mr. Tinker, when Ivanov concentrates, his mind is blank.
I'll bet. Well, somebody must have seen it.
I saw it, Mr. Harrigan.
Then, Mr. Peabody, why you not speak up?
I didn't want to disturb you,
All right. What kind of a ship was it?
It was Miss Davenport's plane.
Uh-huh. Thought so. Mr. Ivanov, are you sure this is her handwriting?
Positive. I know her handwriting anywhere.
Then it must be legit. Might as well give up. Why? Why would she suddenly decide to go away? Doesn't sound like Dixie to run out on the picture.
She has never done such a thing. I can remember sometimes she would come on the set, sick like pussycat, but she would work.
Okay, so this is different. Tank, I don't think Dixie wrote this note. Are you nuts? You heard what Mr. Ivanov said?
Positively, it is her handwriting.
Well, that isn't what I meant. I think she was forced to write it.
No, absolutely no.
Why not?
Nobody forces Dixie Darling to do nothing she does not wish. I should know. Oh, what a temper.
Well, what if Regan threatened to harm Sequoia?
But that is table of different color. For the horse, she will do anything.
Okay, so she was forced to write it. Where does that leave us? Well, let me add up the facts. She left the bank late this morning, obviously to meet Regan and give him that letter.
What letter?
Well, she deposited $50,000 in the Barstow Bank, which could be withdrawn by anyone presenting a certain letter, signed by her and the bank president.
Yeah, and as soon as Regan showed her that Sequoia was all right, she was going to give him the letter. At least, that's the way we figured it.
Oh, so don't keep me in suspenders. What happened?
I wish I knew.
Look, maybe Regan didn't meet her at all. He was busy taking care of Hutz, remember?
That didn't take him long.
You think maybe Regan was already at the bank?
Who would have delivered the note then?
Joe Bell.
And who would have stayed with Dixie to keep her from calling the police?
Well, they could have tied her up, couldn't they? Or... Oh, skip it.
I know what you mean, Tank. I'm afraid we can't overlook the possibility.
Then, if I may ask, why all this chitter-chatter? Why are you not doing something about it?
What, for instance?
Well, Mr. Ivanov, you check with the bank. Find out if the money was withdrawn today.
So, yes?
What do we do?
What did Dixie tell me about Regan? Oh, yes, he owned a ranch. And didn't you hire him because he told you he could get hold of a herd of wild horses, Mr. Ivanov?
Correct.
Did he get them for you?
No, he said he had to use Sequoia, but Dixie Darling would not permit us.
Hey, this sounds interesting.
Go on, sir.
That is all. Mr. Egan did not get Sequoia. I did not get the wild horses.
Maybe now he's got Sequoia, he might still go after the herd.
Could be. Did he tell you where the herd was, Mr. Ivanov?
A valley in the mountains. I do not bother with pretty details.
Mr. Peabody, would you know?
No, not the exact location. They were in a large valley, not too far away from the camp.
You don't know exactly where?
He said his ranch house was in the same valley, Mr. Tinker.
Oh, boy.
Mr. Harrigan, you think you can find the place?
You can bet I'll make a darn good try, sir.
We're at the airfield, Mr. Harrigan.
Oh, pull up at the last hangar, please.
Very well.
But tell me, Mr. Harrigan, what good is it finding wild horses?
It'll be a lot easier spotting a herd of wild horses than a ranch house.
And besides, if Regan is after the horses...
We might pick up his trail.
But who wants Mr. Egan? We are trying to find my Dixie Darling.
Find Regan, and we'll probably find her, Mr. Ivanov.
Here you are, Mr. Harrigan.
Thanks. Go on, Tank. Now, you won't forget to call the president of the bank, will you, sir?
Of course not. Ivanov never forgets. If Ivanov forgets, Mr. Peabody remembers.
Okay, let's go, Tank.
Mr. Harrigan,
Oh, Lord. Yes, Mr. Ivanov.
if you see Mr. Egan, attack!
Attack. He thinks we're still fighting a war.
Act quickly! Remember, he who hesitates boils the broth.
At the director's final admonition, Hop and Tank suppress a smile and then turn and stride toward the hangar in their fast little Beechcraft. They have a chance to find Dixie. A slim one, but it's still a chance. They intend to make the most of it. Meanwhile, some 70 miles to the south, in a sprawling ranch house at the north end of one of the valleys of the San Bernardino Mountains, Tex Regan and Joe Bell are listening to Dixie Davenport's furious protestations.
I played square with you, Tex. I'm willing to give you $50,000. Why don't you let me go?
Might be a little embarrassing for me, Miss Davenport.
How?
If I let you go now, what's to keep you from phoning the police to nab me when I go to the bank in the morning?
I promise you I won't.
I'm just insuring that, ma'am.
Joe, won't you help me? Please, Joe.
I guess Joe's kind of bashful.
Well, you're not really working with Tex, are you, Joe? You said you'd try to help me.
Go on, partner. Tell her.
Joe! Joe!
Appears like he ain't very talkative.
Tex, when are you going to let me go?
I'll have to think about that,
Well, you
ma'am.
can't keep me here forever, you know. Ivanov will move heaven and earth to find me.
After the note that Joe dropped on the camp.
Oh,
That's a little extra insurance, ma'am. Always comes in handy.
Tex, please tell me what you're going to do.
Well, first thing in the morning, I'm going into Barstow.
Then you'll come back and give me Sequoia and let me go, won't you?
That depends on how I feel in the morning, ma'am.
But, Tex...
Listen, Miss Davenport. You're the only one who can prove I stole Sequoia. You're the only one who can prove I kept you here. So you just sit there a minute and figure things out. And see if you get the same answer I do.
His coarse, unshaven face set in deadly, rigid lines, Tex Regan stares at the beautiful young movie star, and after a few seconds, she falters and buries her face in her hands. Regan's meaning is very clear. We'll bring you the climax of today's episode in just a moment, gang, so stand by. Now let's go upstairs with the high-altitude experts and see what they have to say about high flying. As you know, tests are going on all the time because flying high has definite performance gains. With turbo superchargers, you get increases in speed when you get into the thin air of the stratosphere. And when you use gas turbine power, either propellers or jets, you get increases in range. Of course, when you start flying high, you have to have your power plant designed for that purpose. You also have problems in fuel and oil systems. Right now, the experts feel that better propellers are needed to fly above 40,000 feet. The test pilots also found they were running into trouble with their electrical and radio equipment when they went up above 40,000 feet. Incidentally, it's interesting to know that you can't duplicate the conditions at 40,000 feet in a laboratory. That's why the big companies have flying laboratories. The low temperatures, low pressures, and low humidity all affected the radio equipment. All this is being investigated and worked on at this very moment. You've all heard of the Boeing Stratocruiser and the other high-altitude planes with pressurized cabins, which enable passengers to fly comfortably at high altitudes. Well, what you may not know is that just as the human body is affected by high altitudes, just so is the body of a plane. Things begin to happen to the metal construction. The entire structure goes under new and unusual stresses. All these things are known and being investigated. Some problems have been worked up. Others still are to be solved. There's still new frontiers to be crossed in aviation, gang, and it's a young industry with room for youth. So get ready to take your place in the sky. For always remember, America needs flyers. And now back to our story. The sun is a golden red ball as it sinks lower and lower in the west, and its rays illuminate the fuselage and wings of a streamlined biplane soaring and swooping in and out of the many valleys and canyons of the San Bernardino Mountains of California. In the cabin, Hop and Tank peer earthward, searching for a glimpse of a herd of wild horses. Finally, Tank settles back in his seat and rubs his eyes.
It's no use, Hop. We better quit. It's getting awful dark down there.
Now, let's just check this valley here.
My eyes are almost dropping out of my head.
Another couple of minutes, that's all. Here we go.
Hey, watch it. You're cutting it awful close.
We have to see. Go on, check your side of the valley.
I am.
Hey, isn't that a ranch house back in that heavy clump of trees?
So what? We've seen ranches in almost every valley.
Regan's place has got to be around here. Peabody said it wasn't far from the camp. We could only spot those wild horses.
Hey, Hop, pull up. You're heading for the slope.
Great Scott. Oh, thanks, fella.
Now, look, we're going to stop this funny business right now. It's getting too dark to see anything, and we're just sticking our necks in a noose.
Yeah, you're right, Tank.
Where you heading?
Back to camp. Is that what you want? We'll cut across the valley again.
Okay. But no going down and poking around.
No, I promise. Tank, do you realize we only have a few hours left to find Dixie?
Few hours. We ain't got nothing left, pal.
I mean tomorrow morning. The sun comes up around 5:30, so we'll have to be up and airborne at 5:15.
Oh, my gosh.
Which gives us less than 4 hours.
4? How do you figure that?
The bank opens at 9, doesn't it? If Regan gets his money, I'm afraid we'll never see Dixie again.
And even as Hop voices his grim prophecy, 3,000 feet below them, in the doorway of the ranch house Hop and Tank just saw, Tex Regan looks up, then turns to Joe Bell.
You're right, Joe. It is Harrigan's plane. He and that fat partner of his must have broke out of the shack before the floodwaters hit it. But don't you worry about a thing, Joe. See how he's holding course? He ain't spotted us. He'll never spot us. And by tomorrow noon, we'll be 50 grand richer and 500 miles away.
Looking up at the sky again, Tex smiles as he sees the beach slowly receding in the gathering darkness. The boys were so close, and yet so far away. Gang, there are action and suspense in our next gripping episode, so don't fail to listen. Tune in and fly with Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways. So long, Hop. We'll be seeing you same time, same mutual station. Hop Harrigan is a transcribed, copyrighted feature appearing in All American Comics magazine. Presenting Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways.
CX-4 calling control tower. CX-4 calling control tower. Standing by.
Control tower, back to CX-4. Wind southeast, ceiling 1200. All clear.
Okay, this is Hop Harrigan. Coming in.
Yes, it's America's ace of the airways. Coming in for another transcribed episode in the adventures of Hop Harrigan. Say, Say, gang, you know, today's my favorite holiday. I imagine it's yours, too, because just about everyone has a lot of fun on Halloween. But this day always brings back memories to me. I'd like to tell you a story that happened around my neighborhood when I was a boy. My gang and I got all dressed up, and we went out for some Halloween fun. Yeah, we all chalked each other up, and we went from house to house asking for candy and cookies. But there were some other fellows and girls that didn't think this was enough fun for them. These boys and girls, who lived around the corner from me, got dressed up in costume, too, but for their Halloween antics, decided to make fires. They thought this was good fun, never realizing the danger involved. You see, they made a fire in an old barn, and one of the boys who started the fire was caught in the flaming inferno. Now, I wish I could say that he escaped unhurt, but unfortunately he didn't. This boy, who started out to have a good time on Halloween, never lived to enjoy another one. He was burned so severely that he died the next day in the hospital. I remember the occurrence so vividly that every Halloween I tell this same story to my son and daughter. I think this is a swell holiday, but I also think it can be celebrated in a sane and safe manner. So remember this story, gang. Don't you or any of your friends do anything dangerous. Have fun, but remember there are many more Halloweens to come, and you'll want to be around to enjoy them. In just a few minutes, I'll be back with some aviation news, so don't forget to listen. And now to our story. With time running dangerously short, and only a slim chance left to find movie star Dixie Davenport and her horse Sequoia, Hop and Tank took off in their Beechcraft and through the late afternoon combed the valleys and canyons of the San Bernardino Mountains. Tex Regan, the man who stole Sequoia, had once mentioned a band of wild horses which ranged across a certain valley near his own ranch house, and the boys hoped that if they could find the herd, they could locate Regan's hideout. It is dusk now. The mountain peaks gleam in the last rays of the setting sun, and the valleys are deep in shadow. The boys have given up their search and are starting back for the motion picture location camp.
Yeah.
You think Regan will... Well, you think he'll do anything to Dixie?
I wouldn't put it past him, Tank. You certainly can't let her go. She knows too much. Remember what he tried to do to us.
Yeah, I owe that punk plenty. Sure hope I get a chance to pay him back.
Hey, Tank, look down there.
Down where?
Down and back on my side. Here, lean over.
Yeah?
See that light?
Uh-huh. What about it?
It keeps blinking on and off.
Oh, yeah.
Say, isn't that a ranch house there?
Could just about make it out. It's the one we passed when we cut through here about 5 minutes ago.
I wonder... Tank, that light's blinking code. You see? Da, da, da. That's an O. Dip, da, da, dip. A P.
O-P. What's that?
Wait. Dip, 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 dip. There's an H.
O-P-H?
Da, da, da. O again, and another P.
Don't make sense. What's O-P-H-O-P?
H again, and O. Tank, it's my name. It's my name being repeated over and over again.
No, but Jenny, you don't suppose...
I certainly do. It's Dixie signaling to us.
Then come on, let's get down there fast.
No, we'll hold court.
Are you nuts?
If Dixie can see our ship, so can Regan or Joe Bell.
Hey, she stopped.
Maybe Regan caught her at it. We'll keep right on going, but check the position carefully, Tank, so we can find it again in a hurry.
You bet.
What a break. I think we flew right over the ranch house before.
How could we know? We didn't see no bunch of wild horses.
Well, they must be around the valley somewhere. You have the place pinned down now.
Yep, we could find it blindfolded.
Okay, take over the controls.
Huh? What for?
I want to put on a chute.
A shoe?
You heard me. Grab the wheel, will you?
Okay. Got it.
Now hold this course.
But what's the idea?
What's it look like? I'm going over the side.
Here?
No, as soon as we're over that range of hills. Climbed at 10,000 and cut back over the ranch house again.
But what can you do down there?
Help, Dixie.
What about me?
You take the ship back to camp and tell Ivanov what's happened. Have him call the police and get them out here.
But why can't you come back, too?
I want to be down there in case of trouble. Okay, we're over the range. Give me the controls.
Here.
Thanks. Hang on. Going up fast.
Pop, I think you're sticking your neck out. Why didn't you let me bail out instead?
This is my job.
But I can handle myself better than you in a scrap.
There won't be any scrap. On another thing, see that someone is at the bank tomorrow morning. In case Regan or Joe Bell shows up to withdraw the 50,000.
Oh, for Pete's sake, you're wasting time. Why don't we just go back down there, slug it out with them, and drag them off to the police?
Fists aren't much good against rifle slugs, pal. Up to 10,000, cutting back. Check our position carefully now.
Keep to the left of those two peaks.
Wind is from the left. I'll drift quite a bit.
And cut over more.
Check. Okay, you take over now. Let me get squared off at the jump.
Oh, Hop, I wish you wouldn't.
Is this the way we're going to work it? No more talk.
Okay.
Hold it steady now.
Yeah.
You tell me when to jump.
Not for a minute yet.
Now, you know what you have to do.
Yeah. Fly back to the location camp. Telephone what the score is and get the cops.
Right. Don't forget to have the police at the bank in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay, how about it? Getting close?
Yeah. Better climb out in the wing.
Hold it steady.
Watch your step.
I am.
Stand by to jump.
Ready.
Okay, now. Good luck, Hop.
With a final wave of his hand, Hop falls forward off the trailing edge of the lower wing and plummets down through the darkness. He grips the ripcord tightly with his right hand, but does not pull it, and his body turns and twists through the air as he plunges earthward. Finally, less than 2,000 feet from the ground, he yanks sharply, and the silk blossoms out over his head, bringing him up with a body-shaking jerk. The final descent is smooth and easy, and the young pilot lands in the center of a cleared field. Folding his chute, he tucks it under his arm and starts for the ranch house, less than a quarter of a mile away. Meanwhile, in a small room in the rear of the ranch house, bare of all furniture except a narrow cot, a chair, and a table, Tex Regan faces his prisoner, Dixie Davenport.
Just thought I'd stop in and say goodbye, Miss Davenport.
What do you mean, goodbye?
I'm starting for town with your letter.
You're being a little premature. The bank doesn't open until morning, you know.
I aim to be there right when the doors open, ma'am.
I see. Then you're leaving me here alone?
No, Joe'll keep you company and see that you don't play with no more lights. Too bad your friends didn't see your signal. They kept right on going over the West Range.
They'll be back.
Maybe, but they won't find you here, ma'am.
No? Where am I going?
For a little trip. You and your horse, Sequoia.
What are you driving at, Tex?
Oh, just cleaning up the last details, ma'am. Thought you might be interested in hearing them.
Well,
As soon as I get the money from the bank tomorrow morning, Joe's going to put the horse, you, in your plane.
I'm listening.
Then you're going to take off. You're going to fly into the mountains. Pretty deep in the mountains. Do you follow me, ma'am?
I think so.
Well, something's going to happen then, ma'am. Your plane will get out of control all of a sudden. Smack in the middle of them mountains. Be pretty bad.
I see. Will Joe crack up with me?
I don't think so, seeing as how he's going to have the only parachute. Well, Miss Davenport,
Well,
I must say you're a pretty cool customer.
is that all you have to say?
Yeah, that's all.
Then if you don't mind, I'd rather be alone.
Oh, okay, ma'am. Anything you say. So long, Miss Davenport. Happy landings.
The young movie star stands quietly for a moment, staring blindly at the closed door, still hearing Regan's mocking laughter. Then, as if in a trance, she turns and walks to the window of the room and peers out into the night. Death is close, and she is seemingly beyond help. But perhaps Hop can do something for her. We'll know in a moment, gang, so stand by. Now, gang, let's talk about some interesting aviation jottings. You know, now that the World Series is over and all the baseballs and mitts are packed away till next spring, football's in the air. And this fall, it'll be up in the air as well. By that, I mean that gridiron stars will be traveling through the sky in ever-increasing numbers. You see, coaches have found that traveling by air gives the team more time for training before games away from home. And at the same time, it makes it possible for players to arrive at their opponent's field fresh and raring to go. For example, Doug Mills, director of athletics for the University of Illinois, points out that his team can travel to Iowa City, Iowa, for a football game in only 50 minutes, while it would take more than 10 hours by surface transportation. Air travel is also making possible more and more intersectional games. Teams on both coasts can play each other without having to go through days of tedious travel. Wisconsin is another team that's taking advantage of planes. The football team plans to play Yale, nearly 1,000 miles away, but the actual travel time by air will be less than 4 hours. Another development that's following the airlines is the springing up of hotels and restaurants just to take care of plane travelers. Goose Bay, Labrador has an excellent airfield, but to wartime pilots and others who flew the North Atlantic route to Europe, the town was pretty drab. You couldn't get a decent meal or a good bed to sleep in. Well, 8 international airlines who use the route got together and built one of the most unusual inns ever put into operation. In numerous ways, the Goose Bay Hotel is better than many of the hotels in the larger American cities. Well, that's all for today, but gang, get ready to take your place next to the airmen who will make the news of tomorrow. For always remember, America needs flyers. And now, back to our story. Bailing out of the Beechcraft, Hop landed in a valley less than a quarter of a mile from Tex Regan's ranch house and made his way toward it quickly but carefully. Scouting around, he finally located what he believed to be the room in which Dixie was held prisoner. Flipping a couple of pebbles between the wooden slats serving as crude bars, he finally caught her attention.
Who's there?
Dixie, keep your voice down.
What?
It's Hop.
Huh? Oh, thank goodness.
Please, not so loud.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I am so glad to see you. I kept hoping and praying.
Sure. Now, look, we've got to work fast. Regan and Joe Bell are out front. Regan's in the car. He's leaving.
He's going to Barstow.
Already?
He wants to be there at 9 a.m.
Dixie, do you know what they plan to do? I overheard them arranging a meeting tomorrow night in Las Vegas.
Oh, Hop, it's awful. They're going to kill me and Sequoia.
Huh?
Tomorrow morning, Joe's going to take us up in the transport. When we're in the mountains, he's going to do something to the controls and jump out.
Regan's pretty smart, making Joe do all the dirty work.
Hop, you must help. Can't you pull out those slats or something?
Do you want to leave Sequoia behind?
Oh, no.
Okay, then we'll have to play it differently. Besides, Tank will be back soon with the police.
But suppose they're too late.
They won't be, don't worry. Regan's leaving, which means Joe will be around in a couple of seconds.
Hop, you're not going to leave me here alone?
I have to for a little while. I've got a job to do.
You're going to knock Joe out?
No, he must be onto the teeth. It'd be pretty tricky.
But then what are you going to do?
I think I'll let myself be caught.
What?
Yes, I doubt if Joe would kill me. He'd wait for the plane trip in the morning. It'd look better if I were found dead in the wreckage.
Hop, have you gone mad?
Maybe. It's a pretty tricky idea, but I think it'll work.
But I don't understand.
No more talk, Dixie. I'll see you in a little while.
Then you're going through with it.
Uh-huh. I'm going to let Joe Bell catch me.
A strange smile of anticipation plays about Hop's lips as he decides on his daring plan of action. And then, without another word, he disappears into the darkness, leaving Dixie completely bewildered. We'll know in our next action-packed episode just what Hop is going to do, so be sure to listen. Tune in and fly with Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airwaves. So long, Hop. We'll be seeing you same time, same mutual station. Hop Harrigan is a transcribed, copyrighted feature appearing in All American Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday, same time, same mutual station. Presenting Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways.
CX-4 calling control tower. CX-4 calling control tower. Standing by.
Control tower, back to CX-4. Wind southeast, ceiling 1200, all clear.
Okay, this is Hop Harrigan. Coming in.
Yes, it's America's ace of the airways. Coming in for another transcribed episode in the adventures of Hop Harrigan. During the past few years, we've been seeing occasional pictures of the flying wing. We know now from recent pictures and Air Force announcements that the Air Force of the future will definitely include flying wing planes. Some of them, perhaps all, will be jet-propelled. But aside from the fact that the flying wing is just what its name implies, a giant flying machine with all the planes sort of condensed down into the wing, just what do you know about it? And why should the Northrop Company, the pioneer manufacturer, be putting so much time on flying wing experiments? Well, here's how aeronautical engineers look at it. A flying wing is the closest thing to a plane made up entirely of supporting air surfaces. Every part of the plane works to lift that plane into the air. The men who are working on the big wings are completely sold on it. They say that someday, and it won't be too far off either, both the military and private users of planes will be utilizing flying wing designs. They stress the fact that on the conventional plane, only the wing does the lifting, but every part of the plane contributes to the drag or air resistance once it's up in the sky. In the flying wing, every part of the plane sets up resistance too. However, every part of the plane supplies lift and helps support the plane in midair. And since it is the drag that requires horsepower to push the plane through the air, well, that means that in the final analysis, the flying wing is the most practical design. In just a few minutes, I'll have some more information about the flying wing, and I think you'll find it interesting. So don't forget to listen. And now to our story. The theft of the Wonder Horse, Sequoia, and the disappearance of his owner, movie star Dixie Davenport, have forced Hop and Tank into desperate action. Knowing that Tex Regan was behind the entire scheme, aided by Dixie's personal pilot, Joe Bell, the boys conducted an intense aerial search and finally located Regan's ranch house when Dixie herself managed to signal for help. Ordering Tank to go back to camp and call the police, Hop bailed out. But last time, you recall, when he talked to Dixie through the slats of the ranch house and learned that Joe Bell was going to take Dixie and her horse, Sequoia, up in the transport and then let it crash, the young pilot made a startling announcement.
If they want to get tricky, so will we. I'm going to let Joe Bell capture me.
Now it is later that same evening. Dixie is still imprisoned in a small room at the ranch house, pacing up and down nervously, wondering at Hop's strange decision. When a key rattles in the door, she comes to an abrupt stop. The door swings open, and she turns to face her former pilot, Joe Bell.
Evening, Miss Dixie.
What do you want, Joe?
Well, I was fixing myself something to eat, and I thought maybe you'd be hungry, too.
Why, that's very thoughtful of you, Joe. And will I get a hearty breakfast before we take off in the morning?
Take off. Oh, he told you.
Yes, he told me. Quite an ingenious little plan. We fly into the mountains, you damage the controls and bail out, and then your troubles are over.
Tex shouldn't have told you.
Oh, he was having a fine time, Joe. Will you have a fine time tomorrow morning?
It's got to be done.
Why?
You know too much.
I promised I wouldn't tell anyone.
We can't take a chance.
You'd rather take a chance with murder, Joe?
Nobody can prove a thing. I'll be safe.
Will you? You'll be living with your conscience all the rest of your life.
Look, I didn't come in here to get a sermon. You want something to eat or don't you?
No, thank you, Joe.
Okay. I don't think you can pull any funny stuff with me. I'm staying up all night.
I won't try to escape, Joe. And I suggest you get all the sleep you can tonight. You'll never sleep in peace again.
Oh, shut up. Hey, what was that?
Why, I didn't hear anything.
You don't, huh? There's somebody at that window pulling boards out.
Oh, you're imagining things, Joe.
Like fun I am. You get back and stay in that corner.
But
Move, I said. And keep still 1 year out of you, and I won't wait until morning. Dixie, can you hear me? Oh, it's your pal Harrigan, huh? Dixie, answer me. Go on, answer him.
Yes, Hop?
Are you alone? You know what to say.
Yes, Hop.
Good. As soon as I get another one of these slats out of the window, there'll be enough room for you to get out. So that's what's going on, huh?
Joe, please don't shoot.
Don't worry.
I haven't seen Joe anywhere. I hope he doesn't show up.
Tell him I'm in the kitchen.
I, think he's in the kitchen, Hop.
Fine. Yeah. What is tougher than I thought? Yeah.
Maybe I ought to help it.
Joe, what are you going to do?
Shut up.
Hey, Dixie,
Yes, Hop.
I saw your plane. Thought we might use it for our getaway, but somebody's been fooling around with it.
Ask him what he means.
What do you mean, Hop?
And the pins on the tail controls have been loosened. Plane won't stay in the air 5 minutes. Easy enough to fix, of course, but I just didn't want to take the time. Get quiet. Get us out of here. Yeah. There. Okay, come on now. I'll help you out.
No, you don't, Harrigan. Let me help you in.
Dixie, you told me.
I'm sorry, Hop. He had a gun on you.
Come on, Harrigan. Climb in.
Okay.
And take it easy. Don't get any bright ideas.
Hardly, with that cannon sticking in my face. Fine Sir Lancelot I turned out to be. Tried to rescue a lady and walk right into a trap.
Get over in the corner next to Miss Dixie.
Okay, I will. Sorry, Dixie.
Now, Harrigan, talk. What do you mean the pins on the tail controls are loose?
Exactly what I said.
You loosened them.
You crazy?
Where's Tinker? He did it.
Tinker's on his way for the police right now.
The police?
Say, where's Regan anyway?
He left a little while ago. He went into Barstow to get the money.
Oh, I see. Then when he has it, he'll notify Joe and you'll be released. Is that it?
Hardly. Joe's going to take me for a nice plane ride in the morning.
Shut up, Miss Dixie.
I will not. He's going to fly my ship into the mountains and then bail out. And Sequoia and I will crash.
Oh?
And now you're coming along too, pal.
Yeah, but where does Regan fit into this?
Regan and Joe will meet in Las Vegas tomorrow night, where they'll split the money.
$25,000 apiece? Murder comes cheap these days, doesn't it?
Listen, Harrigan.
Well, doesn't it? You do all the work, you kidnap the horse, you're going to kill us, and you split evenly with Regan. What did he do to earn his share?
Shut up.
You won't get away with it, Joe.
Won't I? Thanks for telling me about the cops. We'll just move up our schedule a couple hours. We'll take off right now.
Huh?
Thought you were pretty smart, didn't you?
No, not really, but at least I can see a little farther than my nose.
What do you mean by that crack?
Well, for instance, I can see you're being played for a sucker.
Harrigan, I'm warning
Joe,
you.
cut it out. You're not half as tough as you think you are. Regan's using you, and you're going to find yourself way up the creek without a paddle. What makes you so sure he'll meet you in Las Vegas tomorrow night?
Why,
No answer, is there? And remember, you're committing the murder. If you're caught, Regan will be in the clear.
that's enough, Harrigan. Shut up.
Oh, no, Joe. There's one more little item, the loosened pins in the tail section. Now, I wonder if Regan could be guaranteeing the $50,000 for himself.
He wouldn't do that to me. He wouldn't.
Don't count on it.
That's all, Harrigan. Now sit in that chair.
Joe, what are you going to do?
Shut up and hand me that rope. Harrigan, I said sit down.
Okay.
Where's that rope?
Here.
Now, don't move. Sit still or you'll get hurt.
Yeah.
There, I'll hold you. Now you, Miss Dixie, come here.
Yes, Joe?
Put your hands behind your back and face that wall. Hold still.
Joe, you're hurting me.
Ain't that too bad? There. That'll hold you until I get back.
Oh, Hoppy. He's furious.
Just what I wanted. And thanks for playing up to me the way you did, Dixie. You're a real actress.
Oh, I wasn't acting. I was scared to death. Do you think it'll work, Hop?
I hope so. Depends on whether he checks the plane thoroughly or not. The next few minutes will tell the story.
Squirming uncomfortably against their bonds, Hop and Dixie begin an anxious wait for Joe Bell's return. Don't miss the surprising climax of today's episode, gang, so stand by. At the beginning of Hop Harrigan, I was telling you something about the flying wing, how the designers felt that it was the most practical aeronautical design since the entire plane surface helped keep a plane in the air. So far, the Northrop Company has flown 12 of these tailless planes, and here are some of the things they claim. With the low drag and high lift features of the flying wing, the plane can transport weight farther and faster at less cost. The flying wing is a relatively simple design, a single unit from wingtip to wingtip, which means less construction costs, also less time in building. In a conventional type plane, you carry your cargo in the fuselage. That means you have to strengthen your construction in order to have the fuselage hang on to the wings. Well, now the problem is eliminated in the flying wing. You have compartments, and your cargo is distributed evenly along the wing itself. There are also advantages in the loading. Separate cargo doors in a flying wing give you access to any part of the cargo anytime you want to reach it. Well, now, how about the military flying wing? Number one, it makes a smaller target. Let's compare a flying wing of the same horsepower and weight to a B-29. Well, here's what the Northrop people say. They claim their plane will carry 1/4 more cargo and travel 25% farther with the same fuel load. What's more, the flying wing will go farther at a faster speed. Well, you may ask then, why don't we use flying wings? Well, new ideas that replace something already in use take time before they move in to take over. The first flying wing was flying in 1940. Problems have come up and have been cleared up one at a time, and I think it's safe to say you'll be hearing more and seeing more of the flying wing in the next couple of years. And fellas and girls, whether you'd like to fly conventional type ships or flying wings, always remember America needs flyers. And now, back to our story. As Hop and Dixie Davenport wait anxiously for Joe Bell's return to the ranch house, the motion picture location camp 90 miles to the north is a scene of frantic activity, centered, of course, around the explosive director, Ivan Ivanov. Pacing up and down, gesticulating wildly, he issues countless orders as Tank is busy refueling the Beechcraft.
Nobody listens to. I do all the thinking myself. Mr. Peabody, make a notation. The entire cast of the picture will be on the set early in the morning to welcome Miss Davenport back.
Yes, sir.
The landing field will be all lighted up, all the cameras turning where her airplane arrives.
Yes, sir.
You will call the press and all the reporters here from all the papers all over the country.
Of course, sir.
What a magnificent opportunity. What a colossal spectacle it will be. I have inspiration. Yes, Mr. Peabody?
Oh, definitely, sir.
Do I forgot something?
Yes. What about the police?
The police? Oh, it is you, Mr. Tinker. I forget you are here.
I'm going to fly you back to Hop and Dixie, remember?
Of course, of course. But why we must have the police?
Are you kidding?
There is only 2 Williams, you said. Texas Regan and that lowlife Joe Bell. I'll be with you, Mr. Tinker. So will Mr. Peabody.
He'll be a big help.
I beg your pardon.
And last but not least, Mr. McSwain, our cameraman, will be with us.
Jumping Jennies, you're not going to stop and shoot pictures at a time like this.
What is better time? We strike it while the iron is boiling. Mr. Peabody.
Yes, sir.
You are ready, yes?
Oh, yes, sir.
And where is it, Mr. McSwain?
He's getting some extra film, sir. He'll be right back.
That is good. You are ready, of course, Mr. Tinker?
Yeah, for just about anything.
So now, what are we ready for? Where do we find Mr. Harrigan and Dixie Dugan?
They're in Regan's ranch house in one of the San Bernardino valleys.
Excellent. You will fly us directly there, I'm presuming?
Yeah, but I still say it ain't gonna be no picnic.
Mr. Tinker, I do not fail to say. Remember Ivanov is director.
But this ain't a movie, doggone it.
Please do not shout. Your voice always gives me a headache.
Your pills, Mr. Ivanov.
Oh, take them away. For Dixie Darling, I will suffer. So now, Mr. Tinker, start it up the aeroplane. Believe.
Okay.
One moment.
What now?
You're sure you know how to drive this aeroplane?
Yeah, sure, I can handle her blindfolded.
No. Keep open the eyes.
Oh, here comes Mr. McSwain, Mr. Ivanov.
Very good. So, Mr. Tinker, we fly.
Okay. Let me get these maps and charts lined up.
So hurry up.
Oh, my gosh.
Something is wrong, Mr. Tinker?
This map. Can't find the map.
What do you say? What map?
The one I marked showing the valley where the ranch house is.
You need the map?
Doggone right I need it. I can't find a place without it. It's gotta be here. I put it with this bunch of...
Come, Mr. Tinker. You are holding up the wheels of advancement.
It's good. It ain't here. Oh, we'll never find Hop.
His big, homely features a mask of despair. Tank calls for the pile of charts again, but it is useless. The all-important map is gone, and without it, he can't possibly find the hidden valley. Gang, you won't want to miss our next action-packed episode, so be sure to listen. Tune in and fly with Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways. So long, Hop. We'll be seeing you same time, same mutual station. Hop Harrigan is a transcribed, copyrighted feature appearing in All American Comics magazine.
Alright, everyone, that is the end of the first half of the listen-along. Have your 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and do the rest. Cool. See you in 5 minutes. Bye, guys. Yeah, music, yeah, music. Oh, I'm live. Oops. Well, uh, 5 minutes is up. Yay. Back to the thingy. Yay. Hop Harrigan. Woo.
Presenting Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airwaves.
CX-4 calling control tower. CX-4 calling control tower. Standing by.
Control tower, back to CX-4. Wind southeast, ceiling 1200. All clear.
Okay, this is Hop Harrigan. Coming in.
Yes, it's America's ace of the airways. Coming in for another transcribed episode in the adventures of Hop Harrigan. Fellas and girls, I've spoken to you many times about the Air Force and its new planes and plans. You know, under the new defense setup, the Air Force is a separate branch of our armed forces. But the Navy has its own air wing, just as it's had for almost the past 40 years. And the Navy's been going strong in the matter of developing new and better planes. For instance, Navy flyers hold 2 of the 3 generally recognized air records. First, the truculent Turtle established the long-distance record in a flight from Perth, Australia to Columbus, Ohio, a distance of 11,000 miles. The Turtle is a Lockheed P-2V, a long-distance patrol bomber. The other record is held by the D-588 Skystreak. It holds the world speed mark of 650 miles an hour. Twice within 1 week, the Skystreak flashed a new world records. First with Commander Turner Caldwell at the controls, and then with Marine Major Marion Carl. When Major Carl set the world speed record, the temperature inside the cockpit rose to 120 degrees, even with his special refrigeration unit working. Imagine how warm he must have been. Another thing you may not know about Navy planes is the difference between them and land-based planes. Since most of the Navy planes have to work off carriers, they must be able to fly at lower speeds in order to land on short carrier decks. Another feature that's important is the plane's ability to pick up speed in a hurry in case it gets a wave off at the last minute. I'll be back later with more interesting information about Navy aviation, so don't forget to listen. And now to our story. Finding the hidden ranch house where Dixie Davenport was being held prisoner by Tex Regan and Joe Bell, Hop ordered Tank to fly back to the motion picture location camp to alert the state police, and then he bailed out of the Beechcraft. When he discovered that Regan was leaving the ranch to collect the ransom money for the horse Sequoia, and that Joe was to meet him that night, after eliminating Dixie and the horse in a deliberate plane crash, the young pilot took a dangerous chance. He allowed himself to be captured. Then he began a war of nerves, taunting and baiting Joe. Finally, in anger, Joe tied them both up and rushed out of the ranch house.
Hop, what's he going to do?
Well, I think he'll check the plane first, see if the pins in the tail control assembly are loose the way I said.
Well, are they?
Of course, I loosened them myself. And I did something else, too. If Joe finds it, he'll really blow his top. All we have to do is wait for him to come back. And the longer he takes, the better. Because right now, Tank should be on his way here with the police.
But Hop's confidence is completely for at the movie location camp, the lumbering mechanic is the picture of despair as he faces Ivan Ivanov, the director.
I lost the map. I can't find it no place.
What map? What do you talk about, Mr. Tinker?
The map I marked a hideout on. I won't be able to find Hop and Dixie without it.
Mr. Tinker, do you mean to stand there with your bare face hanging out and tell me after all my magnificent preparations we cannot find Dixie, darling?
Listen, I told you before, we need the police on this deal, and you're following up the works with reporters and cameramen and a lot of junk.
Junk? Junk, he calls it.
Mr. Ivanov, please, sir, your blood pressure.
Mr. Peabody, go away. Let my blood press in peace.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Tinker, once and for everything, Ivanov is the director. We do things my way.
Doggone it, this ain't a movie.
No, you are correct. It is life. And I, Ivanov, will record it for posterity.
But you can't fight guns with cameras. Regan and Joe Bell are armed to the teeth.
There will be 4 of us in the plane. You, myself, Mr. Peabody, Mr. Maxwell, our cameraman.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
Mr. Ivanov, if I may point out...
What do you say?
I doubt if we can do anything about rescuing Miss Davenport and Mr. Harrigan if Mr. Tinker doesn't find that map.
So that is what I am waiting for? Come, go look, Mr. Tinker. Find it.
How many times do I gotta tell you I lost it?
So you remember where the ranch house is.
There's 50 valleys around there, and in the dark, they all look alike.
Oh, we looked through all 50.
We'll have to wait till morning.
But we cannot wait. The reporters will be here in the morning. We must be on our way back then.
Hey, wait a minute. Hop said to do something else in the morning.
So,
The bank. Jumping Jenny's what a dope I am.
that point I do not
Hey,
argue.
listen, Mr. Ivanov, did you check with the bank president to find out if Regan took the dough already?
Mr. Peabody checks, not Ivanov.
The bank president said the money is still there.
Oh, swell. And we still got a good chance.
Please, to explain yourself.
Or Regan or Joe Bell, maybe both will show up at the bank first thing in the morning, and we'll be there to meet him. We'll grab him and make him tell us where Hop and Dixie are.
Exactly what I am going to suggest. I am glad you agree with me, Mr. Tinker.
Sure, I agree.
We will leave immediately. Mr. Peabody, where is Mr. McSwain? What is holding up the working?
He said he'd be right there. Oh, here he comes, sir.
About time. So, Mr. Tinker, you will get ready to drive the aeroplane?
Okay, pile in.
Hurry, Mr. McSwain. We're ready to leave.
I'm coming.
Mr. Tinker, one word, please.
Yeah, what now?
You are absolutely positive you know how to drive the aeroplane?
How many times do I have to tell you?
You can tell me a million times, Mr. Tinker, but remember, we only crash once.
We ain't gonna crash.
All right. So, are we ready now? Mr. Peabody, Mr. McSwain?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Ivanov.
Mr. Tinker, we await your pleasure.
Shaking his head in utter resignation, Tank starts the engine of the Beechcraft and prepares for takeoff. Things are not working out as Hop wanted, and Tank foresees trouble. Meanwhile, unaware of what is going on at the location camp, Hop is trying very hard to cheer Dixie.
Dixie, don't worry. Tank must be at the camp by now, and he'll have the police here in jig time.
I hope so. These ropes hurt.
Well, try backing up against me. Maybe I can loosen them. Joe didn't do a very good job.
No, I can stand it. If he comes back and sees we tried to escape, he might lose his head completely.
He's wild now.
Hop, what else did you do to the plane?
Not to the plane, to his parachute.
His parachute?
I cut the riser cords halfway through.
But why?
Well, with the line I've been feeding him about Regan double-crossing him, if he sees the chute is damaged, well, that should just about clinch it, don't you think?
Well,
Dixie, the chute's the only way he has of escape. When he sees the risers cut, he'll be sure Tex is trying to get him out of the way.
I suppose he doesn't check the chute.
Yeah, that's the chance we take.
Maybe you should have mentioned it.
Oh, no. No, then he'd think I did it to throw suspicion on Regan.
Hop.
Yeah.
Do you really think Regan will double-cross Joe?
I haven't the faintest idea, but he certainly has a perfect opportunity.
It's true.
Here, hold it. I think it...
Yes. Joe's coming back. What do we do?
Relax and play it straight. Let him do all the talking.
Here he comes.
Easy now. Well, back so soon?
Harrigan, were you inside that transport?
Inside? What would I be doing inside?
Cut the stalling. Answer me.
Now, Joe, be reasonable. Why should I go in? I saw the pins were loose. That was enough for me.
Why? What's the matter, Joe?
Nothing. Where's that bank, Miss Davenport?
Bank?
You heard me. Where did you leave the 50 grand?
Oh, it's in Barstow, Joe. You know that.
Where in Barstow? Where?
Near the desert road. You can't miss it.
What time does it open?
9 o'clock, I suppose.
Why all the questions, Joe? You should know the answers.
Just checking, Harrigan. 9 o'clock, huh? It's almost midnight now. That ought to give me plenty of time. Let me see these ropes.
Joe, please, you're hurting me.
That's too bad. Okay, now you.
Oh.
Guess you two will be safe enough.
Hey, where are you going, Joe?
I'm fixing up the plane to fly into Barstow right now.
Huh?
And me and Tex will have a long talk. And, pal, if you've been pitching me a curve, I'll be back in plenty of time for that trip in the morning.
Slamming the door violently behind him, Joe Bell leaves Hop and Dixie alone again. The young pilot's plan seems to be working well. Or is it? Gang, you won't want to miss the action-packed climax of today's episode, so stand by. Now, let's go back down through years and trace the growth of the Navy's air arm from the very beginning up to now. It all started 39 years ago in 1908. In the fall of that year, Orville Wright was giving an aerial demonstration, and the Navy assigned 2 officers to it to see whether they could make use of the newfangled invention. In 1910, the first takeoff from a Navy ship was made when a Curtiss pilot, Eugene Ely, made a flight from a platform constructed on the bow of the USS Birmingham. A few months later, the same flyer landed a plane on the battleship Pennsylvania. And a short while after that, the Navy contracted for their first 3 planes. The Wright brothers were to build one and Curtiss 2 others. Each company was to train a pilot for each ship. From then up to the First World War, the Navy bought more planes, trained more flyers, and generally began to take more recognition of air power. Navy and Marine planes took part in bombing raids and other special operations. By the end of the First World War, the Navy had over 2,000 planes of all types in service. The first carrier put into service was a converted collier renamed the USS Langley. It was commissioned in 1922, and just 3 years later, 2 new carriers were added to the fleet, the Lexington and the Saratoga. The service of naval aviation during World War II is far famed. From the first great victory of carrier-based planes at the Battle of the Coral Sea to the very end of the war when Navy planes were blasting the homeland Japs, it's a great record. Now, with the possibility that new, speedy jets will be able to operate off carriers and rocket-powered planes in the works, naval aviation is looking ahead to the most important years of its career. And for the future, the Navy, as well as the regular Air Force and commercial airlines, need men and women to keep the planes flying. So always remember, America needs flyers. And now back to our story. It is shortly after 1 in the morning, and a heavy cloud layer obscures the moon. The night is black as pitch. Tank Tinker, flying Ivanov, Mr. Peabody, and McSwain, the cameraman, to Barstow, seems to be having a little difficulty.
You see any lights out that way, Mr. Ivanov?
Lights? I see nothing. Nothing but black and blue.
How about you, Mr. Peabody? You see any lights?
No, I'm afraid not, Mr. Tinker.
Okay.
For why you want lights, Mr. Tinker?
Just checking, that's all. Nothing important. Don't worry about a thing. We got smooth sailing. Easy trip.
Mr. Tinker, you sound like you whistle in the dark.
I ain't whistling.
A figure of talk. What I mean, I think we are in some kind of trouble, yes?
Oh, no. What gave you that idea?
You, Mr. Tinker. So, what is the matter?
Nothing. Now relax, will you? I'm busy.
Mr. Tinker, you said you knew how to drive an airplane.
Well, we're flying, ain't we?
But for how long? Mr. Tinker, I do not like this.
Look, just leave me alone. I'll figure it out.
Figure it out? So, something is rotten in Sweden. I knew
it. It ain't that bad. I'm just a little off course, that's all. Now, will you please relax and leave me alone?
Flaring up at the director, Tank leaves him momentarily speechless and quickly turns back to the controls. But deep within him, he knows it will take much more than a couple of minutes to find his way back on course. He is lost. Badly lost. Back at the ranch house, Hop and Dixie Davenport have been working furiously on the ropes binding them. But finally, Hop slumps back, completely worn out.
I give up. I can't budge them.
But you said Joe didn't do a very good job.
He did just before he left. I just can't reach the nuts.
The ropes around my wrists are so tight. I can't even move my fingers.
Well, we'll have to figure out some way. That's all there's to it. But...
Hop, listen.
Great Scott, what in the world is that?
A cat. A big one. Maybe a lion.
A lion?
He must be just outside that window.
Well, pray he stays there. We're in no shape for that kind of company.
Hop, look.
What? Good Lord.
He's jumped up on the windowsill, and the window's open.
Hop and Dixie stare, wide-eyed with sudden terror, as they see the sleek, tawny form of a giant mountain lion crouching on the sill of the window. Gang, you won't want to miss our next episode, so be sure to listen. Tune in and fly with Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airwaves. So long, Hop. We'll be seeing you same time, same mutual station. Hop Harrigan is a transcribed, copyrighted feature appearing in All American Comics magazine and is brought to you Monday through Friday, same time, same mutual station.
Presenting Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways.
CX-4 calling control tower. CX-4 calling control tower. Standing by.
Control tower, back to CX-4. Wind southeast, ceiling 1200. All clear.
Okay, this is Hop Harrigan. Coming in.
Yes, it's America's ace of the airways. Coming in for another transcribed episode in the adventures of Hop Harrigan. The accent in planes is on greater speed and maneuverability, and the jet plane can give us more speed at the present time than we can handle. Since the end of the war, the United States Air Force has announced many new jets, and 15 different types of jet fighters and bombers are powered by turbines designed and developed by the General Electric Company, builder of the nation's first jet engine. Half a dozen of these sleek, speedy ships have already been unmasked this year, all of them powerful enough to streak through the sky at a speed faster than sound. Another half dozen, now under wraps, will probably be unveiled before this year is over. Among the ships powered by General Electric turbines is America's first jet airplane, the Bell P-59 Aerocomet. The engine used in the P-59 was also developed for the Air Force in the early 1940s by GE engineers who kept working on that original jet engine and in quick succession turned out new and improved models. America's second jet plane, the famous Lockheed P-80 Shooting Star, used one of the improved engines and set many records with it. The Navy made use of a GE jet on a plane with a regular gasoline engine. On the Ryan FR-1 Fireball, the jet was installed in the rear section of the fuselage to give the ship extra power for terrific bursts of speed and quick climbs when necessary. Well, that's all for now, gang, but I'll be back in a few minutes to tell you more about General Electric jet engines, so don't forget to listen. And now to our story. After Hop bailed out of the Beechcraft to join Dixie Davenport, who was being held prisoner in a ranch house by Tex Regan and Joe Bell, Tank flew back to the motion picture location camp to get help. But trouble began to pile up. Ivan Ivanov, the bombastic director, refused to call in the police, insisting that he, his assistant, Mr. Peabody, his cameraman, McSwain, and Tank could handle the rescue themselves. To make matters worse, Tank couldn't find the map showing the location of the ranch house. And finally, flying to Barstow in the hope of picking up the trail there, he completely lost his way in the darkness.
Mr. Tinker, do you mean to tell me that you do not know where we are flying?
Oh, it ain't as bad as all that. I'm a little mixed up, that's all.
Do not evade the answer. You are lost or you are not lost?
Well, sort of.
Oh, dear, this is terrible.
Now, take it easy, Mr. Peabody. There ain't nothing to worry about.
You keep saying that, Mr. Tinker, but I see nothing not to worry about.
Well, we'll be okay as soon as we spot a signal beacon. Now, watch for him.
Mr. Tinker, I would not know a signal beacon from a hole in the head.
Well, they're lights that flash on and off. On top of mountains, usually.
Mountains?
I don't see any.
Keep looking.
And suppose, Mr. Tinker, suppose we do not find one.
Listen, will you stop worrying, for Pete's sake? Everything's going to be okay. I hope.
Meanwhile, far to the east, Hop, who allowed himself to be captured by Joe Bell after learning that Tex Regan had already left to collect the ransom money for Sequoia, finds that his plan has backfired. He and Dixie tried to persuade Joe that Regan was going to double-cross him, and succeeded to the extent that Joe left for Barstow himself in Dixie's reconverted transport. But he tied them up first, and as they struggled to free themselves, a mountain lion suddenly leaped up on the ledge of the open window and crouched there, spitting and snarling.
Hop, he's coming in.
Don't move.
What'll we do?
Please, Dixie, he may go away.
Watch. Oh, Hop,
If we sit absolutely still, we may be all right.
I feel like screaming.
Dixie, don't.
Uh-oh, he's getting ready to jump.
Lord, if I could only get loose.
Listen,
Great Scott, what now?
I heard Sequoia.
Sequoia?
Yes.
What? Sounds like he's coming this way.
The lion's heard him, too. He's turning around.
This may be the break we need.
Oh, no, Hop. Sequoia can't fight him. He won't have a chance.
Hey, the cat's getting ready to jump.
Oh, no, Hop.
There he goes.
Sequoia, run!
They're fighting. Sounds like a whale of a scrap.
Oh, Sequoia will be killed. He'll be killed.
No, that sounds like the cat was hurt. Listen, something's happening.
Oh, if we could only see what was going on.
Dixie, the cat's running away, you hear?
But Sequoia, what's happened to him?
But there he is, Dixie, sticking his head in through the window.
Oh, Sequoia.
It's okay. He beat him, Dixie.
Can't believe it, Hop. Oh.
He's certainly glad to see you.
Good boy, Sequoia. Good boy.
Hey, what's he up to now? Where's he going?
Sequoia, come back. Come back.
Wait, stop. I think he's over at the other end of the ranch house. What do you suppose got into it?
I don't know. He always comes when I call him.
Try again.
Sequoia! Here, boy. Here.
He hears you, all right. But he isn't responding.
Maybe the lion's still hanging around.
No, I don't think so. What in the world? Dixie, what's he doing?
He's kicking at the side of the house.
Well, why should he?
Hop, I think he kicked in that outer door.
Great Scott, call him again, quick.
Sequoia! Come on, boy, this way. Come on, boy.
He's inside. Keep talking to him.
Come on, boy. Come on.
What? He's right outside the door to this room.
Oh, good. He knows where we are.
Oh, Dixie, you don't think he can kick this door in, too?
I don't see why not. You watch. Come, Sequoia. Come, boy. Kick it in. Kick it in. That's it, boy.
What? This is amazing.
Now, once more, boy. Just once more. Oh, there.
Why, he did it.
What did I tell you?
Honestly, if I hadn't seen it, I wouldn't have believed it.
Oh, come on, boy. Come here.
Well,
That's it.
Dixie, I take it all back.
What?
Well, for a while, I thought this whole setup was pretty ridiculous, holding a horse for $50,000 ransom, but I swear he's worth every penny of it.
Wait, you haven't seen everything. Sequoia, here. See these ropes?
Oh, no, Dixie. No, you can't expect him to untie ropes.
He does it in every movie.
Oh, but the knots are loose.
Wait. That's the boy, Sequoia. Work on him. You know how.
Well, I'll be...
Now, help him as much as you can, Hop.
Bet I will. That's it, Sequoia. Keep pulling on that loop. Okay, my hands are loose.
Isn't he something?
Here, I'll help you.
Oh, no, Hop. Let him finish the job or you'll hurt his feelings.
We certainly don't want to do that.
There. I'm free. Oh, my arms are asleep.
Oh, rub them. Get the circulation going again. Sequoia, I don't know how one shows gratitude to a horse, but believe me, I'll thank you for the rest of my life.
Say, you're welcome, Sequoia.
Come on, Dixie. Tank should be showing up pretty soon. We better get outside to guide him in.
All right. Come on, Sequoia.
Mr. Tinker, you are sure you know where you are flying now?
Yeah, we're on course.
How do you like such a thing, Mr. Peabody? Sir, we want to make a simple airplane trip to Barstow, no more than 80 miles from the camp, like the buzzard flies, and Mr. Tinker ends up in Los Angeles.
Very amusing, sir. Very.
Oh, I'll lay you off, will you?
A great flyer, he tells me. He knows how to drive it, the airplane. Fui.
We're getting there, ain't we?
Now, you are positive we will get to Barstow in time?
Yeah, we'll make it easy before 9 o'clock.
And then, if I am to understand the plan of action correctly, we'll meet Mr. Texas Regan at the bank?
Oh, we ain't exactly gonna meet him. We're gonna surprise him.
To surprise him, we still first must meet him. Same difference.
Okay.
Then what is to happen?
Well, we wallop the living daylights out of Regan until he tells us where Hop and Dixie are.
So, Mr. Tinker, one question. Suppose Mr. Regan does not appear at the bank in the morning. Then what?
Then we're stuck for good. We'll never be able to get to Hop and Dixie in time.
At Tank's grim answer, Ivan Ivanov is momentarily shocked out of his customary explosiveness and falls silent. And Tank eases the throttle forward another notch, crowding all possible speed out of the beach. Gang, you won't want to miss the climax of today's episode, so stand by. The General Electric jet engines I was telling you about at the opening of Hop Harrigan were used in many of America's newest aircraft. Everything from single-engine fighters to 8-engine flying wings. The Republic P-84 Thunderjet, now being turned out for the Air Defense Command, can go at well over 600 miles an hour. Others in the jet lineup include two of our first 4-engine jet bombers, the North American XB-45 and Consolidated Vultese XB-46, and also the most revolutionary aircraft announced this year, the Northrop YB-49, an 8-engine jet version of the Flying Wing. Another unusual ship is the Martin XB-48, largest multi-jet bomber of regular design ever built. Its 6 engines generate more power than 2 giant electric railroad engines, each pulling a string of 125 freight cars. Isn't that amazing? The Navy is also going all out for new jets, with at least 7 different planes in service now. Outstanding among these is the Douglas D-558 Sky Streak, designed as the supersonic test tube. It already holds the world speed record of 650 miles an hour. The Sky Streak is bright scarlet, and it's polished to mirror-like smoothness for transonic flights of about 760 miles per hour. So you can see, gang, how much the jet engine will figure in our Air Force of the future. In fact, not so long ago, General Carl Spaatz predicted that there will be an all-jet Air Force in a few years, and that's rapidly becoming a reality. You can also be sure that commercial planes will soon be jet-equipped, and that they'll be carrying passengers and freight through the air at unbelievably high speeds. Men and women are needed to service and fly the planes of the future, so get ready now, and always remember, America needs flyers. And now, back to our story. It is a few minutes before 9 the following morning. Tank and Ivan Ivanov are waiting in a doorway near the Barstow Bank for Tex Regan to make an appearance. For the 20th time, Ivanov checks his watch.
It is now 2 minutes before 9, Mr. Tinker. Where is Mr. Regan?
Stop calling all the time, will you? You make me nervous.
You are nervous. Oh, my ulcers. Where is Mr. Peabody? I need the peppermint.
You'll have to do without it. I ain't gonna call him now and take a chance of gumming up the works.
But where is he? And Mr. McSwain, where is he?
There, on the other side of the bank. We got the entrance covered like a blanket.
It is now 1 minute to 9, Mr. Tinker. Do you see Mr. Regan yet?
No, I don't.
But even as Tank fidgets nervously in the doorway and stares up and down the street, Tex Regan sits in a car parked not 2 blocks away. Joe Bell has at last caught up to him and faced him with Hop's accusation.
Come now, Joe. I'm leveling with you. Leveling all the way. You see, here's my ticket to Las Vegas. I was going to meet you there tonight, all right, so stop worrying about that. We got ourselves a bigger headache now. Harrigan must have figured I'd collect that 50 grand this morning, and I bet he's got the cops there waiting for us. See, you and me, Joe, we're going to cross him up. We're going back to the ranch now without even trying to get the money. We'll take that 50 grand right out of Harrigan's hide.
His mouth twisted in an ugly snarl, Tex Regan starts the car. True to his word, he drives away from the bank and heads for the airfield where Joe's plane is parked. Now, how will Tank find the hidden ranch house? And how will Hop and Dixie be able to defend themselves? The action gets hot and heavy in our next exciting episode, gang, so be sure to listen. Tune in and fly with Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways. So long, Hop. We'll be seeing you same time, same mutual station. Hop Harrigan is a transcribed, copyrighted feature appearing in All American Comics magazine. Presenting Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways.
CX-4 calling control tower. CX-4 calling control tower. Standing by.
Control tower, back to CX-4. Wind southeast, ceiling 1200.
Okay, this is Hop Harrigan coming in.
Yes, it's America's ace of the airways. Coming in for another transcribed episode in the adventures of Hop Harrigan.
Say, fellas and girls, you know how forgetful people can be, especially when they're traveling and in a hurry to get on about their business. All sorts of things are left on buses and trains, and on planes, too. Some of the things you'd think would never be forgotten. Jewelry, for instance, or fishing tackle, or eyeglasses. I said you'd think people wouldn't forget things like that, but you can believe me, they certainly do forget them, and often, too. Pretty generally, though, you don't have to worry if you leave something on a plane, even if it's something very small, like a pipe. Chances are it'll be returned to the rightful owner. One of our country's top commercial airline companies, American Airlines, has a working system for getting lost articles back to their owners. Any item big enough to spot easily is usually picked up by a stewardess. They check every ship for such things after every flight. But some small item can't be seen at a first glance. If a pipe or a fountain pen slips in between seats or falls to the floor, it takes a little longer to recover it. All personal property found aboard American Airlines flagships is held for 6 months. All articles left unclaimed for that period are then disposed of, usually to charity. For instance, American Airlines sends unclaimed clothes and toys to the Salvation Army or to the Children's Aid Society. Eyeglasses that aren't claimed become the property of the Manhattan Eye Hospital in New York. And books, most of them bestsellers, go to veterans in Halloran Hospital, also in New York. In just a few minutes, gang, I'll be back to tell you more about American Airlines' Lost and Found system, so don't forget to listen. And now to our story. The long night fraught with danger has finally passed. Morning finds Hop and movie star Dixie Davenport outside Tex Regan's ranch house where they had been held captive, waiting for Tank to arrive. But the lumbering mechanic is hours overdue. Hop is frankly worried.
I bailed out over the ranch house about 8 o'clock last night. Told him to fly back to the location camp to get help. He should have been back by midnight at the latest. It's 9 a.m. now.
Maybe he got lost, Hop.
I hope it's only that.
The Tank knows how to fly, doesn't he?
Well, sure he does.
And of course he lost his way. You know this valley isn't easy to find in the dark.
Dixie, the sun's been up more than 3 hours. Even if he had to wait for daylight, he would have been here.
Hop, please don't worry. I'm sure everything will be all right. At least we're not still tied up, thanks to that horse of mine.
No, but we still don't know what Regan or Joe Bell are up to.
Well, Joe must have found Tex by now.
Exactly. And when Regan tells him he didn't mess up the plan, Joe will fly right back to finish off the job he started.
We found 2 rifles. We can hold him up.
Yeah, there's only 1 clip of ammunition for each. 10 rounds altogether. Won't last long against a submachine gun.
Well, then, why don't we saddle Sequoia? He can carry both of us.
Yes, but then if Tank does show up and finds his gun...
Oh, that's right. Sort of puts us between the frying pan and the fire, doesn't it? One thing's as bad as the other.
If I only knew where Tank was. If I only knew what's happened to him.
There's a note of desperation in Hop's voice as he scans the clear, sun-washed sky overhead, hoping against hope for a glimpse of the familiar outline of the Beechcraft. Meanwhile, in Barstow, in a doorway near the bank, Tank fidgets nervously as Ivan Ivanov looks at his watch for the 100th time.
It is now 10 minutes after 9 o'clock, Mr. Tinker. You told me that Mr. Texas Regan would appear at the bank to collect his money as soon as it opened.
Well, that's the way Hop figured it.
So then, where is Mr. Regan?
If I knew, I wouldn't be hanging around here, would I?
Mr. Tinker, do not answer a question with a question. That is telling me nothing.
Listen, all I know is that Regan was supposed to show up here, and if he don't, Hop and Dixie are going to be in trouble. Because I can't find my way back to the ranch house.
But how long must we wait here? My feet are beginning to bark.
Mr. Peabody can get you some corn plasters, and we ain't moving until
Ivanov! Mr. Ivanov! Oh, dear, where are you?
Oh, talk of the angel, and he is coming.
Doggone it, I told him to stay around the corner. Does he want to mess up the works?
Mr. Ivanov!
Over here, Mr. Peabody.
Oh, yeah.
I thought I told you to stay put. If Regan sees you, he'll never...
That's exactly why I'm here, Mr. Tinker. We've seen Regan.
What? Oh, where is he, Mr. Peabody? Speak quickly.
He's gone.
Gone? Why didn't you tell me?
Well, we weren't quite sure. You see, Mr. McSwain thought he saw one of our company cars parked on the corner 2 blocks down.
Yes? Please to kindly go on, Mr. Peabody.
Well, I told him he was mistaken. None of our cars are out of camp. Then I suddenly remembered that Miss Dixie gave Joe Bell a car day before yesterday, and...
Oh, for Pete's sake, hurry up.
Do not interrupt, Mr. Tinker.
Well, it was the same one. I looked at it more closely, and I saw two men inside.
Regan and Bell?
Well, Regan, definitely. I couldn't see the other one. Then they drove off.
Which way?
Well, they turned back to the desert road.
Oh, my gosh, they're heading for the ranch house.
For why not didn't Mr. Regan go to the bank?
He must have smelled a trap. Come on, we gotta get rolling. Mr. Peabody, get McSwain on the double.
Mr. Tinker.
Yeah?
Ivanov is director here. He gives the order.
All right, so give him.
Mr. Peabody, get Mr. McSwain on the triple.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Where do we go now, Mr. Tinker?
You're giving the orders. You tell me.
Mr. Tinker, do not play the game. I have enough trouble.
Yeah, you got troubles.
And do not keep repeating myself. Where do we go?
Back to the field. We're going to chase Regan and Bell. Chase them right back to the ranch house.
My idea to the last detail. Very good, Mr. Tinker.
Oh, you can't win.
All right, Mr. Ivanov. Mr. McSwain is coming.
Very good, Mr. Peabody. Come, Mr. Tinker. Now is the time for all good men to ride a horse of a different color.
Striding to the curb, the explosive director waves furiously, summons a cab, and 15 minutes later, he, Tank, Mr. Peabody, and McSwain, the cameraman, arrive at the small Barstow airfield. But as they walk to the Beechcraft, parked in the tie-down area, they hear the thundering roar of a heavy transport starting to take off.
Hey, that's Dixie's plane.
Dixie's an airplane, you're sure, Mr. Tinker?
And how, I'm sure.
Oh, it is, sir. Yes, sir, I recognize it myself.
But what is she doing here?
She ain't here. Joe Bell's using it.
So why'd you stand there? Stop them! Stop them!
Do I look like Superman?
Mr. Tinker, in words of one syllable, positively not. Now stop that airplane!
Now, she's already in the air. The only thing we can do is trail it and hope that Joe's heading for the ranch house. Now, go on, all of you. Pile into the beach. And the first guy that opens his zip gets clipped in the whiskers.
Startled by Tank's sudden outburst, Ivan Ivanov and his two assistants move quickly to the plane, and a few minutes later are airborne, holding a course eastward over the desert, searching for the transport. Meanwhile, in Dixie's reconverted C-47, Tex Regan is seething with anger as he sits beside Joe Bell in the flight compartment, urging his accomplice to greater speed.
Go on, Joe. Can't you make this old washed up fly any faster?
She's wide open now, Tex.
So Dixie was playing it straight, was she? She kept her promise, eh? I knew I could never trust her.
She seemed surprised when Harrigan showed up.
There she was acting. She had it all fixed up ahead of time. And where was that fat boy, Tinker?
He wasn't anywhere around. I looked for him after I caught Harrigan.
Them two always worked together. So it's a cinch something pretty important separated them.
What do you mean, something important?
Like Harrigan bailing out to stick by Miss Davenport, while Tinker goes to the bank in the morning to wait for me. It was a lucky thing you showed up and told me what happened, Joe.
Well,
Yeah, I know. Harrigan got you all steamed up with a song and dance about me double-crossing you. But you don't have to worry none about that, Joe. I'm leveling with you all the way, partner.
Sure, Tex, I know. But look, what are we going to do about the money now? We can't touch it where it is.
We'll work out something. No dame's gonna cross me up. Not Tex Regan, no sirree.
Well, what do we do when we get back to the ranch house?
We'll pack up a duds. Take Miss Davenport and that horse of hers and beat it pronto.
And Harrigan?
Harrigan? Ha ha! We'll leave him for the buzzards.
An ugly snarl distorts Regan's lips as he leisurely reaches for the submachine gun on the floor behind him. Gang, the climax of today's episode is full of action, so stand by. Now, gang, let's get back to that lost and found system of American Airlines. Suppose a stewardess picks up a lost item in a plane at the Washington airport. It's kept in Washington for 3 days. If no one claims it, the item is sent along to New York. There, 4 huge steel cabinets are filled with rubbers, duffel bags, fountain pens, umbrellas, hats, pipes, toys, and so forth. The amazing part about the lost and found system is that it actually works. Because according to the supervisor of the department, a lot of people don't miss lost items until days and sometimes weeks have gone by. In these cases, the chances are the person can't even remember the date of his flight, which means a lot of checking into back records. But the lost and found department feels it's worth it when they finally locate the missing item. One case among the hundreds of unusual ones that always come up has to do with some fishing tackle. The young lady who called about it said she wasn't sure about her flight date. She thought it might have been the 15th or the 17th of the month on a flight between Boston and Washington. Or maybe it was between Philadelphia and Memphis. It turned out she was calling for someone else. There are always some hot jewel mysteries around, too. One case that still gets laughs is about a California jeweler returning from Chicago with $1,500 worth of rings. The man didn't even know he'd left these rings on the flagship, and when American Airlines called him to come down for them, he almost fainted. He had put 3 detectives on the trail of the diamonds, not knowing where he had lost them. Well, that's another of the services provided by American Airlines to make travel easier for everyone. And I think it's a very worthwhile service. And say, gang, if you want to take part in the great future of aviation, get set now to take your place in the sky. For always remember, America needs flyers. And now back to our story. An hour has passed, an hour of fear and worry for Hop, still waiting at Regan's for Tank's arrival. Time after time, Hop looked up, thinking he heard a plane, but the sky was always empty. And now, as he paces up and down in the corral, Dixie calls out to him as she leads Sequoia out of the stable.
Pop, I don't think we should wait another minute.
What?
I don't think we should wait any longer. You're driving yourself crazy this way.
But, Dixie, what else can we do?
Try to get back to camp. I've saddled Sequoia. He can carry both of us.
Yes, but what if Tank shows up after we've gone?
I've left a note for him, tacked to the front door. He can't miss him.
I don't know, Dixie.
Oh, please, Hop, be reasonable. Maybe Tank can't find his way back for some reason or other.
Well, then he should at least be searching for the valley.
Well, maybe he is. Maybe we'll see him on the way. Hop, we can't stay here.
Okay, you win.
Good. Now, I've taken one of the rifles and both clips of ammunition, and there's some food in the pack. May take us until evening to get out of the mountains, but we'll make it all right.
You sure Sequoia can carry both of us?
I'm positive.
Okay.
Now, climb up behind me. Easy, boy. Easy. All right, Hop?
All right. There.
Comfortable?
Well.
I know it isn't exactly like a plane, but I'll hold him down. Ready?
Sure thing.
All right, Sequoia. Up, boy.
You know which way to go?
Yes. There's an old dirt road. Regan took it when he brought me here.
Hey, your car. Why don't we use your car?
No gas. I already checked. We'll parallel the road. I don't want to ride right on it in case Regan's on his way back.
Hey.
Easy, Hop. You'll fall off.
Oh, hold up, Dixie. I hear a plane.
Whoa, boy. Whoa. Where?
I can't see. The sun's too bright. Wait, there. There it is. Great Scott.
Is it Tank?
No, it's your ship. It's Joe.
Oh, no.
He's coming straight down right on top of us. Move, Dixie.
Up, Sequoia, up.
Head back to the ranch house. We're out in the open.
Faster, Sequoia. Faster.
Got to get on the cover if he opens up with his machine gun.
Go, Sequoia. Go, boy.
He's shooting. Turn, Dixie. Turn.
Come on, boy.
Watch it.
Steady, boy. Steady.
But even as Dixie saws at the reins, Sequoia, frightened by the machine gun bullets raising puffs of dust at his very hooves, rears wildly up in the air, and Hop and the movie star fall to the ground with a sickening impact. The horse rears again, and, free of his burden, turns and bolts. In the transport, Tex Regan has witnessed the entire incident, and, clapping Joe on the shoulder, points down. Nodding, the pilot sends his plane into another dive, and Regan stands by with a machine gun. Gang, you certainly don't want to miss the next episode, so don't fail to listen. Tune in and fly with Hop Harrigan, America's ace of the airways. So long, Hop. We'll be seeing you same time, same mutual station. Hop Harrigan is a transcribed, copyrighted feature appearing in All American Comics magazine.